You're listening to the Footy First podcast on TSN 1050. Champions live here.
That's right, folks. Another week means another episode of Footy First here on TSN 1050. Nick McVicar alongside York United keeper Niko Giantsopoulos. Niko, how's it going today, brother?
Not too bad. How are you, Nick?
I can't complain.
Another week you're in studio.
Another week I'm in studio. This is what happens when we get to pre-record stuff, because I can sit in studio with you and look at you.
I like the live as well.
The live is much better.
I do like having you in studio.
Yes, it's nice to sit here, but I prefer the live because I get to sit and make sure everything's happening as it goes. So, and Niko, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the guy who's looking back and forth between us right now. Jordan Wilson is with us today. How's it going, Jordan?
It's going great. Nick, I don't know. I like that I'm in the middle between you guys, and you guys are just here bantering. I like it.
I could take that a couple ways, but
we're gonna move on from that because we got a lot to talk about. Yeah. Obviously, we're now in the CPL offseason. We are in officially the MLS All-Star season. We are off-season, not All-Star season.
Sorry, man.
MLS.
Forgive yourself.
MLS off-season. And we're 2.5 weeks away from the World Cup.
Come on.
Lots to talk about. And we're going to start off with something that actually happened in the MLS Cup final. An injury to a Canadian national team player. And it was a tough Saturday for the national team program. One huge scare and one player who will not be joining them in Qatar now. Davies picks up the hamstring injury playing for Bayern, gets subbed off. He's been cleared to play in Qatar. Now, how much we'll get into that a little bit more, but I want to talk about Maxime Crépeau.
Yeah.
Because obviously the guy's playing in the MLS Cup final. Big game. It's not a meaningless middle of the season game like Bayern was playing in. This was a big game. And he goes into the tackle in extra time. This isn't also not middle of the game. This is extra time. Breaks his leg. Mm-hmm. Gruesome injury. It got to the point where the broadcasters refused to show it on air. That's when you know.
That's out of the respect for the
It's out of respect, but it's also out of the fact that it was gruesome.
That's when you know it's bad.
That's when you know it's bad.
Because I was watching the game live as well, and the camera, he was like laying on the ground, so they're showing it, and then he rolled over, and like
the camera did.
The leg like flops over, and I think then everyone's like,
okay, they knew. They knew.
We got a problem here.
Well, apparently there was a bone sticking up. As soon as that happens, they usually try not to show that on TV, and I respect that from broadcasters. That's something that it should be that way.
Has to be.
I actually don't think that they should show injuries over multiple times, but that's a personal thing because, why show a player in that kind of state? That's not okay.
Fans sometimes don't understand like what an injury actually means to a professional athlete. That's like your livelihood could be done. So again, you don't want to see it over and over plastered all over.
But even then, like families, right? Like imagine Crépeau's family right now. If they have to see that played over and over again, like that's not okay. No, that's just a mental thing. That's not okay.
But can we talk about how like in the character that was shown from him, after, like he's like. He's speaking Spanish, LAFC, like, vamos, like, come on, like, win it, as he's getting carted off as his legs,
Yeah. And then after, he's FaceTiming with the team on the field from the ambulance.
Warrior.
Crépeau seems like
he's a guy that you want on your team. Like, he's a guy you want on your team. Yeah. Like, he is going to the hospital to repair a broken leg where he probably can see the bone of his leg. And he's like, yeah, let's go. The picture afterwards with the medal after his surgery was the one that got me. I'm like, this guy's in the hospital, just out of surgery, and he's so happy with his medal.
When was that game? What day was it?
Saturday night.
So then Sunday morning, I was driving with Ozazi, actually, and I go, oh, did you see like what happened in that game? He's like, oh, yeah, like I did see it. That man went out like a boss. And I'm like, yeah, like fair enough. That's actually like the best
accurate
way to describe it. But I've seen reports now that he's like in good spirits.
Yeah.
He's like attacking this like rehab head on. I mean,
not really a shock from what we know about Crépeau. Period.
It's a difficult injury. Like
it's so tough.
What is it? Tib fib? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a tough one. But again, like the first battle is in your head to come over injuries and. By the sounds of it, it seems like this guy's an absolute warrior.
Yeah, and I've also heard that other national team players have reached out to him and said, hey, we got you, bro. Don't worry. Like, you're with us in Qatar, even if you're not physically there, which that shows you just the brotherhood of this team, right? Like, it's incredible. We've talked about the brotherhood. And to see it on display in something like this, it's like, okay, no, this is not just for show on the pitch sort of thing. Like, this is real.
I feel for him, man. Like, knowing that you're number 2, that you might have gotten minutes as well in the World Cup, it's just, it is disheartening. Like, let's talk about their number 3, who's going to be their number 2 now, though. Like, what's going on with that situation?
Yeah,
I think it's clear James Pantemis is going to be the one that gets that call in.
To be the new number 3.
To be the new number 3.
Yeah.
Well,
Dane goes to 2.
Yeah.
I think that's a given.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because they brought in Thomas Hassel from the Whitecaps.
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
so I guess it's between those two and who replaces him. But Pantemis has history with this club. You know, people talk about how John Herdman wants to keep, you know, a group that's been like, in the trenches with this group. And Pantemis, you know, this past year he wasn't, but previously to that, he was always kind of the third keeper in and out of that camp. So he's familiar with the group, and I think it's pretty safe to say that he'll be getting that 3rd spot. So you guys disagree?
No, I think I agree with you. But here comes the question, because obviously we're recording this on Thursday. There is a game against Bahrain tomorrow. So if you're listening on Saturday, the game's already happened. I'm curious, Niko, how do you think they attack this game against Bahrain? Do you think Dane plays the whole 90, or is this one of those games where you allow you try out your 3rd goalie and you have Pantemis play half and Hassel play half?
No, I think
because you don't have many options.
No, because again, when I'm looking at a 3rd goalkeeper spot in the World Cup, you only need to see him in training to decide who you want to bring.
Fair.
And then now I'm thinking Dane's number 2. Let's get him some international games under his belt in case he does have to play.
He's only played 1 game for Canada.
Exactly. So I think give him. Is there 2 games? They play Bahrain and then Japan.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's going to be a different roster.
Oh, okay, I did not know that.
So, yeah, Canada's announcing their actual roster on the 13th.
Okay, then it's a given. Dane St. Clair will probably get the full 90, and rightfully so. He's had a great season. And, I think Pantemis will come in, get integrated with that goalkeeper group, work with the goalkeeper coach, but, again, get his mind set on he's going to Qatar.
I'm curious to hear what you guys think about, like, the starting 11 for tomorrow's game. Like, what do you think that I heard?
Well, I was going to go through the roster and then kind of get your guys' opinion on that, too. So, you and me are on the same page here, Jordan.
Let's dive in.
The guys who are on the roster for this game, because it's pretty much all MLS players, except for one, and that's Liam Fraser. He's the only non-MLS player on the roster. So we already mentioned the 3 goalies, Dane St. Clair, Pantemis, and Hassel. Mm-hmm. The defenders are Donnell Henry, Richie Larea, Alistair Johnston, Kamal Miller, Zachary Baruchard. I always screw up his name, but just let it go.
Well.
Raheem Edwards, Lucas McNaughton, and Joel Waterman. Midfield, you got Piet, Osorio, Kay, Frazier, Kone, and then Matthew Choinière, who still hasn't made a cap for the national team, so good for him for getting called up. And then Cavallini, Nelson, Schaffelberg, and Akinola are the 4 strikers that they have on this team.
Whew.
So if I'm looking at this, personally, I'm probably going with a 2-striker system with Ayo and Cavallini to start.
Like a 4-4-2?
Like a 4-4-2.
Cavallini's going to start tomorrow.
Cavallini starts regardless, but if they're going with 2 strikers, I'm putting Ayo up there as the second.
Why does Cavallini definitely start?
I just feel like with the MLS season, just he needs to get some games in.
And he's going.
The madness.
He's going to the World Cup.
He's going.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like, I don't know. But
but you're not John?
we're about to see tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to the World Cup, so he starts for me regardless.
And you say Ayo, the number 2?
Out of those 3, yeah, Nelson, Schaffelberg, and Ayo.
That's straight bully ball, though, if you put those 2
I know,
up there,
it's almost like it's too much of the same, but
the thing is, Ayo plays...
Dwight York and Andy Cole right there.
Ayo plays bully ball, but he also has speed, man. So that's the one thing. Like, they don't have to play him as, like, an up-and-up striker. They can play him out wide, or they can play him in behind to run off Cavallini.
You never told me that you were a tactician.
He knows.
I had no clue.
I'm the tactics guy.
Love it. Yeah. All right.
That's why.
Yeah.
So who's the back line?
Back line?
Like, is there anyone that jumps out? Do you think Daniel will get a
Richie's starting, for sure.
Kamal?
Like, what's a center back duo going to be?
Probably Kamal and Henry to start.
I don't think Joel's going to get a chance to play.
Joel's the 3rd guy, though, in my opinion. Because I think, as we said, John prefers the guys who have gone through the camp. I think Henry is a guy he wants there. Whether or not he deserves to be.
Is Joel going to the World Cup?
I think he misses.
Okay.
I think he's like 27.
What do you think, Niko?
I think he should be there.
I'm biased. I want Joel in there. 26 man roster. They added 3 spots, right?
Yeah.
It's normally 23.
Yeah.
That could open up a spot. Yeah, I'm going to go with Joel. No, he's not.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, but I want him, and I think he deserves to. But based on everything I've heard about John Herdman, how he wants to kind of build this group, it doesn't seem like he'll get in. Yeah. But I'm hoping I'll be real wrong on that.
How many caps he has? Like 5 or 6 right now?
0.
Joel has 0. He doesn't have a cap yet for the men's national
Oh,
team.
sorry, he's traveled with them. No.
He's never played youth.
I know, but he's been on the roster,
been in the
but he's never gotten a game. So you don't get the cap until you're in the game. So he just hasn't.
He's been with the gang, but he hasn't.
Yeah, he's been in
hasn't
camp.
played a minute.
I don't even know if he's
itching to get that cap.
I don't even know if he's technically been on a bench yet for the national team. Has he?
I
don't think so. Not that it matters, but like
bench cap.
bench caps don't count.
Okay. I'm the leading bench cap leader in the CPL.
You're also the leader in ice caps, so we'll leave it at that.
We kind of skipped over the Davies.
Yes, so I wanted to get back to that before
now
we get
we're
into the
building the
actual
back
roster.
line.
Yeah, if we're building the actual roster for the World Cup, the Davies injury is a concern. From what Bayern's saying, he's going to miss the next 2 games. They're not going to play him, but he's going to be ready for that game 1 against Belgium.
That's what they said.
That's
Do
what-
you think that?
That's what Bayern is saying.
What do you think?
I think he could be ready, but it's a question mark in my head whether or not you should play him for that game.
I don't think he plays the first game against Belgium.
I just don't know if he's going to be 100%. I think he's going to play, but I just don't know how many hamstring injuries you're just like, 2 weeks you're blessed.
But
like,
we're just assuming we're going to lose against Belgium. So why not? Why not? If he needs that extra 4 or 5 days,
And I'm with that.
Just sit him.
Really?
And get him going for.
If
Croatia,
he's not
Morocco.
100% and you're not convinced that you have a legitimate shot at beating Belgium,
rest him.
I would almost rest him so that you have the legitimate chance to beat Croatia and Morocco.
Bro, it's a hamstring injury. These things are difficult. Let's
they're
give him
delicate.
as much time as we can. We don't want to rush this guy, and then he tries to be a hero against Belgium,
And he's limping
pulls
off
it,
in
and then he's
45
done.
minutes.
Yeah,
And
that's my opinion. Again, I don't know how strong it is, but I heard he's done something in there.
Well, you saw it.
But he's done it before too. Like this isn't the first time he's had this hamstring injury. This is not the first time.
Well,
So
That
he's
same-
re-aggravated.
yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't want this guy. I don't want Alphonso Davies, the guy. I don't want Alphonso Davies to feel the pressure that he needs. So I think almost the media narrative needs to kind of be let's not rush him. Play him when he's 100%
Yeah.
right.
I'm with you guys. I just don't know if John Herdman's doing that.
Yeah, I don't.
And-
I think he plays. Unfortunately, I just don't think he should. I'm with Niko. I think if he's not 100%, he shouldn't play.
Yeah, hopefully homeboy is feeling his optimal level and he's just ready to go. But yeah,
That's
He's
the
a
goal.
robot. So I'm
He
assuming
basically
feels
is.
like
but
that.
He basically is a robot. But anyways,
he's a different. type
Well
of
wishes to him though.
yeah. So if we're building the back line for the Canadian national team for the actual World Cup, or do you want to just do it for the game against Bahrain? If we're looking at those.
I don't know. Kind of. Well, but I'm interested. What do you think? Do you think he's going with an easier lineup for Bahrain, or is Bahrain meaning something?
I think it means something.
I think it means something to certain players.
Yeah. So then I think Daniil Henry will get a run because he hasn't really played with MLS.
That's
And
what I
then
mean.
Kamal Miller, I could see him almost resting, and then that's why I think a Joel could come in.
I think Kamal gets a run just to stretch out his legs, but he gets 30 minutes.
I think a middle 3 looks like Piet, Kone, Oso.
Big
I feel
opportunity
like-
for Kone.
I think they go 4 and they put K in there.
Yeah,
as well.
you said 4-4-2, right?
So I think they
You
have
said K
Kone.
as well.
I think they
Yeah,
have
like
K and
Anthony.
Oso kind of on the outside.
Lil Diamond, you're a real.
But not even
tactician, eh?
like a real diamond because you have. I'm going to actually put Piet and K beside each other in the middle, and Oso and Kone just a little bit up in front and a little bit more wide, so that you have a bit of width. But then you have Io and Cavallini who can also jump out wide depending on what side the ball's on and make those runs a little bit easier. And you also have Richie and Alistair who can get up and down the field too. So you don't really need wide guys like we normally have, but it gives you an option.
Word.
Yeah, nothing to add to that.
Word.
Spot on, John.
Tactician, we like it. So you're going to Qatar? You're
I
helping
wish.
Herdman?
Assistant.
assistant to the assistant to the assistant.
Hey man, get in where you fit in, brother.
Yeah. I mean, that would be what I would do for this game against Bahrain, just because you need to get – those are the guys that I'm pretty sure are going to be going to Qatar anyway. Those are the guys you need to get at least a 60-minute run out
Yeah,
of.
all those MLS guys that for the past month, Niko, we know off season you're training, but it's not the same as playing games.
Yeah.
So you need all those guys. You're about to play in the biggest games of your life. You need them all in tip-top shape. So these MLS guys are the ones that are I would say is John Herdman's main priority going into these games.
Yeah, and that's the only ones that are available for Bahrain, right? Other than Miller, because he plays in Belgium, but I don't know why he's there.
Who? Liam Fraser?
Or Fraser, sorry, not Miller. Liam Fraser. I don't know why he's there. Like,
I'd love to see him back in the national team. Like, I rate him
I do
so
too.
highly.
I do too. I just don't know why
in
he's
the
in
mix.
this game against Bahrain because he plays in Belgium. Like, why did his club let him go so early? What is going on with that? That's a question that I need to have answered. I don't get it.
We'll do some journalism.
We'll do some
digging.
breakdown next week. We'll have an answer for you, and we'll also have the roster to look at for Qatar. So that'll be fun too.
Is Bahrain like a terrible team? Like, are we just gonna completely?
We should
dominate
beat them. I wouldn't say they're like.
What continent is Bahrain in?
The Middle East?
Yes.
Oh, that's a guess.
I was like, you look up. Say, hey, God, just let me know this answer
boy.
real quick.
And with that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, lots of CPL news to get into, salary increase, lots of players on the move. We're going to get into that on the other side. You're listening to Footy First here on TSN 1050. Welcome back to Footy First here on TSN 1050. Nick McVicar, Niko Giantsopoulos, and York United Jordan Wilson in studio. And guys, we just got news this week that the CPL salary is going up. The minimum salary as well as the salary cap, everything is going up around the league. I'm going to read off what the numbers are. Just so for people who might not have been able to see the article, I'm going to read it off quickly. So the minimum player salary increases by 36% to $30,000 Canadian per year for the 2023 season. The result is an increase due to the player total compensation budget by $175,000 to a maximum spend of $1.125 million, an 18.5% increase, which is great. As well, the minimum a CPL club must now spend on its player compensation budget is $750,000, 15% increase from 2022. So even the base is going up, which, again, is a good thing. Mm-hmm. On the other side, the maximum spend of $1.125 million for player compensation can be achieved by clubs implementing the league's under-21 players incentive program that was first introduced ahead of the 2022 season. It was designed specifically to encourage CPL clubs to sign promising young talent. The program provides a salary cap relief for clubs on its first $200,000 of under-21 player compensation, whereby only 50% of an under-21 player's salary counts towards the salary budget. And this mechanism allows clubs to earn up to $100,000 in relief, or 50% of $200,000, to hit the 1.125 floor or ceiling. That's all good numbers.
I like how creative they were when kind of doing the salary increase.
Yeah. In what way?
I mean, for one, the U21 compensation.
So basically giving a kickback for signing younger players.
Yeah, but then it opens up more salary space.
Absolutely.
Cap space.
Which is great.
Yeah. So
overall,
they didn't have to be that creative. They could have just smacked it on like extra $200,000 and there.
And the other thing is that they separated the coaching staff budget from the player budget, so that no longer accounts for the salary at all, which is another, I think, big step forward for the players.
That's got to be huge, surely.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm also trying to fully understand all these numbers.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, exactly. This is live look of me trying to understand the new salary cap of the league.
You can actually see the gears turning in his head.
Rain Man in the back. So if it was at $850 was the previous salary cap, that means, and that was the max a team could spend. That means the coaches' salaries were also getting taken off that $850.
I think only the head coach's salary wasn't. Everything else was, and I don't think it was that. It was a sort of on top of, but the club could only spend a total, whereas the actual player's salary cap was $850.
That's huge because you got to assume assistant coaches are making like, $80s, $70s. $1,000 in this league. So if that's two of those salaries, that's an extra $140,000 right there.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it was the player's salary themselves were being impacted. Like I think the player cap was $850 total, but then the club had a total cap of what they were allowed to spend all told, right? So the player cap was $850 regardless of how many coaches you spend money on, but your total cap was including coaches, and that you couldn't exceed that.
Jordan, what are your thoughts when you heard this news? Were you like me? I ran to the bank account and I'm like, I'm thinking there's gonna be a couple more zeros there. And
here's the best part: he doesn't even have a contract yet. He can't even say it.
And they weren't there. So
I think obviously you hear some horror stories of PI bubble or guys getting signed for maybe like 5 months and you're getting a salary or dollars that equate to basically working at McDonald's. Like, you never want a player making 10 grand for 5 months or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously you want that bottom number to be higher, and I like that the league with 4 years in is making strides to like make it a more professional environment. But obviously that bottom level, that bottom number being 30,000, you obviously want that space to grow as well, and on top number getting higher. But it will come in due time. But it was definitely exciting to see, and I know any young player coming into the league knowing that if you ask me at 19, I'm getting 30K to play at home, bro.
At 24.
You take it? I take it last year.
I'd take that right now, but I'm also not a professional athlete.
But you know what I'm saying? Like $30,000, like
That's a good chunk of change to start.
Yeah. So I'm saying like,
But if that's the minimum, that's the minimum.
That's the minimum,
now.
yeah.
It's
But
not
what's
like
the
that's
average?
Well, we won't know until everyone signs next year.
yeah. So as a fan, Nick, do
Yeah.
you think this is like good of how transparent the league is?
I love it because a lot of leagues aren't that way, and we lose out on the fact that a lot of leagues are not transparent in their payment. So we're looking at it like, okay, well, I don't know what these guys are making. How am I supposed to understand what this league really is worth? Whereas in the CPL, they're saying, listen, we are worth this. This is what we're worth. So here's all the cards on the table. You can't guess anymore. We don't need it.
I don't think it's all that transparent though.
that back.
I don't think it's all that transparent though. If I'm being like, because we still don't know. We only like these are just the salary outlines. We don't know what each individual team is spending.
Right.
And the precedent has been set in a salary cap league like MLS. All of their salaries are public.
Right.
So
So that's what I mean. The top professional levels, all the salaries are public.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a top professional league and you want to show that you're on the way there, one of the first steps has to be making everything public.
Yeah, but it still gives room now for clubs not to spend the full amount. I'm curious now that these numbers are out. I wonder the teams that have made it to the finals if they've spent like 100% of like the maximum.
Yeah,
they can.
that's something that we could eventually get to.
Because that's where that's when I'm going to call it transparency.
Yeah.
Is when I know all the individual numbers. Because then you could see, like, then clubs and GMs, they can't cheat, like the system, right? It's like, oh, we didn't spend the full amount and we're outside of playoffs. But, a team that did spend the full amount is in the playoffs consistently. It's like, okay, well, maybe we should kind of be pushing to go that route.
It'd be interesting to see, like, what the breakdown from this year was. What Atletico Ottawa, Forge, you guys spent, just to compare back and forth. Like, hey, two teams who made the playoffs spent all the way to the cap, but the other two were only like 75%.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point I'm trying to prove, that it's a start of transparency. But as a fan, if I'm seeing this, don't get tricked. I'm not like, oh, woo, like they're so transparent. Thank you for being so clear with everything. It's a start in the right direction, but it's not exactly where I want it to be.
No.
To say they're being so transparent.
No,
I still think there's
we're
a lot
not
of stuff
there yet.
that's in private. And I'm saying this as a player perspective. I play in this league. I feel like I should know more than the average fan, but I'm finding out this news just like the fans.
Yeah, Nico's wanting to know more than the average bear.
And you were excited when you heard, though, Niko?
Yeah, I was excited. I think that when the salary cap goes up, no matter what, I'm happy. Again, for players that are in negotiations this year, I wonder now if they can see like a difference in the salary and how much room they have to negotiate now. I would hate to have been a player who agreed to a contract before this came out.
Yeah.
Because now that kind of change. If you're arguing for X amount of number and then the salary cap goes up by all these percentages,
I wonder when
my
this was
number
decided.
changes
Though.
then.
I wonder when this was decided.
I bet you it was decided
Right.
previously, not
But-
right when this came out.
But what I'm saying is, like, the commissioner just took over a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Middle
we
of
don't know if
September?
this is 100% his doing. This
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, if he was part of it, how long into his tenure was it actually decided that this was going to go up? Right? Like, it's a question that can be asked.
I have to give this to the commissioner. Since he's come in, he's added a championship bonus or a regular season bonus. So love that. And now he's increased the salary cap. So right now, this Commissioner Noonan's putting money in my pocket.
Dollars.
And he's in my good books right now.
Dollars on the table.
Yeah, we'll see, though.
Yeah,
we'll see
but
if my tax bracket goes up, and then I got some more questions.
again, I still think it's a positive for the league right now. It's a good step forward that the fact that they are raising the salary, especially for the young players who are, like, What was the salary cap
22.
before? 22.
It was the league minimum.
Right?
So,
League minimum salary was 22.
yeah.
It's going up at $8,000. That's huge,
I'm-
especially for someone starting out.
If I'm 18, I was paying to go to university.
Forget
to play
just
college
18.
ball.
What if it's a guy who's like 23 and just getting his first chance? He's played League One for a couple years and just happened to catch the eye of a coach, right? Like, that's a great opportunity for those guys.
I agree, but at some point, I think then, and I think Jordan was kind of alluding this, the older a player gets, like $30,000 isn't enough for a player like that to commit to soccer full time, and it's a full time commitment.
You're right.
CPL is a
You're right.
full time environment, so we kind of need the average salary
to go up. Absolutely.
The league minimum, to be honest, last year when it was 22K, I'm like, okay, picture myself as a 19-year-old kid. I'd have been so happy with 22K.
Yeah.
Now 30K, I'm
You're ecstatic.
I need to
Doing
change my
backflips.
pants. I'm so excited as a kid that age. But, I want the league average salary to go up because, again, this is the players that you want to keep, the 28-year-olds, the guys like Jordan and I are
Vintage.
still trying to get the players.
Why are you mumbling that?
But I'm saying, like, we're the kind of, like, you want the average salary to
go
as
up.
well, and it's not going up at the same percentage that the league minimum has gone up. So next time there's
Fair.
a salary increase, I really
You hope
want
it's at
to
the top
see,
end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think the league minimum needs to go too much higher now. MLS, when I was kind of like in college, was like, I remember like 40,000. So we're already getting close to MLS. I know it's a different time, inflation, all
For
that.
sure.
But still, it's still a good sign.
That was a good enough. I think 40 is where you want the league minimum to be. That's kind of when this league becomes legit because, like, 40 in housing, you could live all right at that age for a league minimum, and then you earn the bigger contracts.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm okay with that. I just think it's, as I said, it's a good step. It's a positive for the league as a whole. 4 years in, we're already raising the salary by 18%.
If the salary cap's going up, though, no way Edmonton's staying. I mean,
Unless something drastic changes.
they need owners.
Unless
ASAP,
something drastic changes, you're right.
but, yeah, that's
So
that's another thought.
we're saying right now we're back to 8 teams.
Do you think Edmonton's staying? We were
this is a
talking
whole
about this
different-
last week.
I mean,
We talked about it, so we might as well get your opinion too.
I've heard it's 50-50.
Yeah.
I hope for the league. Like I've said from before that in 5 years' time, we don't need 15 teams. We just need 12 competitive teams that are like sustainable, in my opinion. Like I think that's a great number, like across the board, across the nation.
East-west or just straight?
Yeah, like East-West, like covering from
So 6-6.
yeah, if you want, or whatever it might be, or yeah, I guess
Because then teams can save money.
for sure
on
it could be
traveling.
it could be 13 or whatever, but around there, 12, 13, that'd be perfect. Like it doesn't need to be let's have 15 squads.
Well, 12 to 16 is the ideal range for a league like this, in my opinion. Like,
But we're still at 8.
I know we're still at 8, but like
9, but
8 for sure.
With January 1, if Edmonton's around, then we could say 9. But
Let's
right
be
now, we
optimistic.
can only say
Okay, you know what? I like Jordan's side. We have 9 clubs right now.
have
Whether
9.
all 9 play next year, that's not the conversation. We have 9 right now.
How can you say that? That in
There's 9 clubs right now that have players.
Saskatchewan counts, and then we have 10.
no, not
No, that have players and a coach or a coach.
A coach.
It's 9.
Okay, coach works.
No,
It is 9.
9. I'm saying Vancouver, but I'm saying Vancouver hasn't kicked off yet.
They haven't played a
saying-
game. He's saying they haven't played a game, so he's trying to get around technicalities.
because they have a coach. And you know what?
You like it?
They have
Back
a
off?
roster. They got a leader.
starting January
A ship
1st.
needs a
They're-
captain.
They are technically on transfer market, I'm pretty sure. So that's where
Okay.
that is where we
Legit.
can get
Transfer
to.
market is legit. Right. That's when I called myself a pro soccer player. When I got
You got a transfer market
In
page.
Australia, I didn't have a transfer market. So I'm like, I'm not a pro. And then I got one CPL. I was like, yo, I'm legit. And then I got a Wikipedia page.
You said you made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wiki will really do something for you.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
Yeah. Before I was editing my own Wikipedia page. Greatest Niko Giantsopoulos, greatest goalkeeper ever.
Then they flagged it for false advertising. Speaking of other pro players, guys, because the one thing that's happened a lot over the last couple of weeks is players have been announced that they're not returning to their club. So I want to get into that on the other side. We're going to take one break. When we come back, we'll talk about the players who have left and where we might see some of these guys end up next season. All that and more here on Footy First. Welcome back to Footy First here on TSN 1050. Nick McVicar, Niko Giantsopoulos, and special guest Jordan Wilson on the desk today. And guys, I've mentioned it before. Lots of players have announced that they're not returning to their clubs, or I guess technically the clubs have announced that the players are not returning to the clubs over the last week and a half, 2 weeks since we've had the CPL final. I'm going to name off all the ones that we know for sure. Obviously, we're still waiting to hear on the guys that have club options and or player options for the next year.
Are Jordan and I allowed to leak insider info of who we know is also leaving but just hasn't been announced yet?
I mean, you can.
You're the
but
host of this show,
you
Nick.
can,
What do
you
you
can,
think? Make
you
the
can
rules.
get in trouble with your own club. That's fine.
Everyone knows Niko doesn't get in trouble. Like, there's rules, and then there's Niko rules. Everyone knows that.
Fair enough. Well, let me get through the ones that we know for sure, and then you can leak whatever you feel comfortable leaking.
Perfect.
Okay?
Leak, come on. That's you?
So, I'm just going to keep moving. From Pacific, out, Nathan Mavia, Luca Ricci, Jordan Hayes, Matteo Polisi, Umaro Balde, and then Jamar Dixon, who is actually leaving to become the manager of football and player development at the club, which I think is really great.
Jordan,
is
you know,
great.
what are your thoughts on him?
I
And
think
him taking the
stand-up guy, but I think you need more of that, right? Like a
Yeah.
league that obviously prioritizes younger players, which you need, but you need the balance as well. You need
Yeah.
veterans. You need guys that have played in other countries, that have played for Canada, that have been here 10 years before these young guys stepping up. And just keeping guys in the game. I think it's crucial.
Pacific's been a good example of keeping guys that retire in the league.
Yeah.
Mark Village was their goalkeeper the
Yep.
first year. He retired after the first season, and then he became their goalkeeper coach. Now Jamar working in the front office again.
And the other thing is,
kudos to them.
it's not just a guy going into coaching. He's going into the front office stream as opposed to everyone trying to get down the coaching line, which
Yeah.
eventually there's going to be a bottleneck. There's going to be too many players trying to do it. I like the fact that we're seeing a couple guys make that transition into a front office role. And you and me have talked off air, Niko. Like, it's a good thing to have both streams being filled with former players.
No, I'd love to either get him on the show or just have a conversation with him, and just once he's more in the role and
Yeah,
see how
once he
it's
feels,
like,
once
and,
he has a couple weeks under his
get
belt,
feet wet a little bit.
as opposed to
Hit me up, and I'll hit him up, and then he'll hit you up, and then we'll get it going.
I'll have my people call your people, sort of
And
thing.
people. It is. That's really what it is. But no, you need that because it's also just like building a culture, right?
Yeah.
Which we always talk about. Like,
Absolutely.
he's a guy who's obviously won the ship with them. He's won the championship. Had a great relationship with Pamadou Ka, and it just permeates. It goes without the club. It goes through the club. Having a guy like that who's won, who's battled, knows what the club's about. So we need that all across the board.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. Cavalry, lots of names, so I'm going to go through them quickly. Adekugbe, Simmons, Norman Jr., DiChiara, Field, and Novak all out. Yao and Anil Asi are returning to Montreal, or CF Montreal, after their loan spells are up.
All right, so big question, Niko.
Yeah.
Karifa Yao obviously was on loan last year and then came back, and then Cavs got him again, no?
Yeah. So he's
So
been
do you
loaned
feel like
twice.
he's going back to Cavs as well? You think they're
I
gonna
think then Montreal doesn't take his
Yeah.
contract, and then he just signs.
just
a
like
CPL.
obviously you have no inside scoop. I'm just wondering how you feel.
I couldn't even. I mean, he's had 2 really good years in the CPL, so I think he's probably done enough to earn a contract at Montreal. He's a young Canadian center back. But if they just decide, because that back line, to be honest, I wonder if one of their players in the back line are going to get bought after this World Cup. CF Montreal, and if that does, then I think he stays
slides
at
in?
Montreal. But if they release him, I think there's no reason why I can't see him going to a Cavs.
Yeah. And like looking at the list too for Cavs, like a bunch of midfielders, center midfielders, central midfielders that are out of the squad.
Yeah.
You got Adekugbe, you got Simmons, you got DKR.
You got three defensive midfielders right there.
I don't know Joe personally, but I'm just like, get him back to York. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of guys, York's team that they had that bubble year, the PEI, when I was watching, I wasn't
first
back
bubble.
yet. Yeah, man, ballers. Like Aparicio, all these guys are like, I feel like he's not on contract as well. But
Who? Aparicio.
yeah, Manu.
Like doesn't he have a option or something? Because I haven't seen
I think he's
anything
free,
like
but-
officially announced that he's not coming back or anything. So that's why I'm not
Joe
sure.
York is a rumor I've definitely heard.
Yeah,
I've actually heard that one too, as
There
a
we go. So
outside.
we're not
person.
leaking anything.
No, that one I've heard.
Nick leaked that one.
I leaked that one, sure.
Yeah,
But I've heard that he might be going back to York just because fit more than anything, and the fact that he knows the club, like it's not like out of the blue.
I think more departures are coming from Cavs as well. I think they're going to be doing a big
that's some inside
overhaul.
scoop right there.
Well, that's the
Makes
thing.
sense.
Like a lot of
Got
teams
knocked out in
haven't,
the semis twice.
and a
I
lot
think
of
they
teams
got
haven't
changed.
announced any movement. So I'm expecting a lot more names to come out in the next couple weeks. But I wanted to get on top of it and then kind of get out there.
Yeah.
Valor also announced a bunch of players: Dyer, Cabara, Levis, Romeo, Mekadiche, and Carlos all out. Any of those guys jump out at you, Niko?
I mean, Moses Dyer for me jumped out. I think at one point he was the most informed striker in the league. He must have another option elsewhere. I couldn't imagine that Valor didn't want to take his contract. Jordan?
I feel like with strikers too, you're always like, man, where's the place where I can go and make the most bread and make a name for myself? So that's always like the biggest thing. You're always like, man, I did a season or two here. I want to try something new. Most players feel like that, but especially attacking players. They're just like, man, I'm going to chase the bag.
So you think him being out is his decision more so than Valor's?
I wouldn't say that, but I feel like, yeah, you know what? I am saying
I would say that.
I backtrack. I am saying that. I feel like, you might want to try something new. I think an interesting name, just obviously from the York perspective, is like, who knows what's going on with our center backs right now, but Rocco Romero, again, is local.
Yeah.
The guy that, like, grew up in the area, playing for TFC. He actually had a stint in Denmark when I was there as well. I think he was there for, like, 6 months.
That's right.
But, yeah, a very big and long center back. But, yeah, obviously we could definitely use him for our squad.
I think Rocco coming to York is...
no-brainer?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense on paper.
Yeah, the only other club that I could see...
Go ahead.
The only other club I could see going out after a guy like Rocco is depending on how many of those Cavs center backs are gone, because a lot of them are out of contract right now. Like I think a couple of them have club options, but I could see him fitting in with Cavs as well as York. Yeah. Like just based on play
style. Like David Norman, like the role that David. I know he's not left-footed, and they're maybe.
What's David Norman's role?
Essentially, he was just like a utility player because he played center back, he played in the midfield a bit, and even played left back. So wherever you kind of needed him, I don't think he was a star in any means, but
he was a utility man.
He was used. Like he got.
He was always playing, but he wasn't always playing the same position.
I think when you earn games playing under Tommy Wheeldon Jr., there's a little bit of respect that you have to like. You don't get on that field without earning it, one way or another. But I understand what you're saying. I think he played his role.
No, I just wanted to hear from you because you played with him. Like,
I never played with him.
You never did.
No.
Wow.
I left and then he came. Salary made more room on the cap when I left.
I hear you. A big dog.
The only other person who's been announced not coming back is from Halifax, and it's Akeem Garcia, who is actually pursuing his coaching certificate with the local club, the local youth club connected to the Wanderers. So he's the only other player. And then obviously they have the vacant coaching role after they let go Stephen Hart.
That's a huge one.
That's a huge spot.
Who do you think? Do you have any names that you could think of? I got one name.
What are you saying?
I have a name, but I don't know if he's coming back yet.
What's your name?
Ka.
No, I don't think to Halifax.
Who are you saying? You gonna say the same? Oh, come on now.
That's what you were gonna say?
I thought for sure Jimmy had the Vancouver job like under wraps. You know, I just feel like he's a name.
He probably didn't get it because then he's probably going to Halifax.
Like for me, yeah, I just feel like it's happening. But again, I don't know.
But again, what do those two guys that we just named have in common? They're former CPL managers. I think that's what's going to happen in Halifax, is just because...
You think they're going to keep a guy that's worked in the league already?
Yeah, because I think especially, like, the reason that I said Pamadou Ka is because he had success with Pacific prior to leaving and going to MLS next. He's out of contract now. So he's available. He had success in the league already. This is a young Halifax team that they have some pieces. They have a lot of work to do. There's no doubt about it. We've mentioned it before. But they have some really nice pieces that they could build around. Bringing in a coach like Ka could be that guy that, okay, let's just set and make a tradition going forward with that. And I could see him doing that. I could see Brennan doing that as well. Yeah. That wasn't a name I was thinking because I just see him all over TV more than anything, right? That wasn't the first name that I thought of.
Different coaching styles between
very different.
But both effective in their own right. But I feel like you want big names coaching teams in the league. You also want big players coming back, right?
But the other thing is, Ka just coached in MLS Next, so he knows a bunch of the guys in the league that, hey, what if there's a couple guys that maybe they aren't cutting it at the MLS Next level just because of their clubs not wanting them, and he saw something and he's like, hey, I'm doing this, come with me, I can get you time right now, let's go right away and bring them. There's a ton of Canadians in MLS Next, so that's what I mean.
The beautiful part about having a coach is that it's like a teacher. Like the teacher always has their teacher pets, like their go-tos. Like if Jimmy or Pamadou Ka was to be a head coach of a team, they're bringing in their favorites.
They're bringing in their boys.
But it happens everywhere.
Jimmy's bringing in his boys. If he's coaching Halifax,
are you Jimmy's boy?
No, I'm Jimmy. You know, Honestly,
Jordan
I
had to
was
think of that for a half
Jimmy's
second.
boy until we go to play TFC last season, and then I found myself on the bench, and I can't get over it, man. I still have to talk to Jimmy about it. I can't. You're going to battle the biggest team in Toronto, and you left. I was talking to you about it, and you left your warrior on the bench. I came on the 55th minute. I couldn't affect anything in the game, Jimmy. So. He's not my boy. I love him though. Shout out to Jimmy. But I digress. Let's get back to it.
Not the point of the conversation. No.
But
Can of worms
Pamadou
there.
yeah, but no, Pamadou Ka, he's gonna bring in the guys that he wants. Jimmy, I already know like 5 players for sure that he just loves that embodies the way he wants to play. He's bringing back. Aparicio has to be at the top of his list.
Why are you talking like Aparicio is a free agent?
I swear he
I
is.
swear he's under contract.
Man, you know, only
We could
Manny
find
knows.
that later in the break.
I think.
I got a question though
Yeah.
before you say your thought.
Let's go. I think Manu's free, but whatever.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's your thought. We can move on then from that.
All right.
Hamilton, obviously, they're just dominating. It's embarrassing that they keep beating us every single year, like us as in every other team in the league, not just us. But who do you think will leave? No way they can keep that roster together, especially the guys that have been there from year one. Who out of the core group? So guys that, names that come to your mind are like Dom Samuel, Tristan Henry, Kyle Becker, Borges. I'm missing other guys.
I don't.
Chouanier.
I don't think many of their players are leaving. I think Becker's out of contract. I think Chouanier's out of contract, and there may be a couple others. I think those
think
two.
Bobby's
I can tell you
coming
who
back?
has a contract.
But you can't tell me who's out.
Well, no, because that's easier to do. Because
Fair enough.
I can't tell you player options
out of the
or stuff.
important players. Don't go through every single player.
Janssen's back.
Okay.
He's signed through next year. Samuel's back. He's signed through next year.
Tristan Henry.
Jordan Hamilton and Babuli are both signed through next year.
Babouli.
Bumble's with us.
Check the game notes, bud.
He's a Europe man now.
It says he's signed through next year for some reason on Forge.
On transfer market.
On transfer market.
They gotta
lost
They
that
gotta update their
legitimacy.
things, fam. That's not
So
right.
sorry, he's technically signed.
No,
for,
but
through 2024.
I know
with
for a fact those two names. I think if I'm forgetting someone on Forge, don't feel like you're not important. I just know those two, Chouanier and Becker, are out of contract, and I know those are
Borges
two-
is also out of contract.
Look at
those
that.
are the only big names.
Those three.
Those are the only big
Henry,
names.
Tristan Henry.
He is out of contract.
I wonder.
November
those
30th.
four.
Technically, November 30th, he's out of contract. If that makes you feel any better. So
at that.
technically, he's not out of contract.
But he's going to be.
But yeah, those three are
Everyone's
huge for
November
them.
30th.
Like I personally feel like they're irreplaceable. Those three, what they do. Becker, we could talk about. People
Chouanier
saying-
has to be on every. If he's a free agent,
If he's
he
free,
needs to be-
everyone
he
is
needs
top
to be
of the
on
list.
the top of the list for tons of players off season.
Not even a question.
acquisitions. Yeah.
hands down.
Do you agree?
No, I do agree.
Where do you think he ends up? If he actually is a free agent, doesn't go back to Forge, where does he end up in your mind?
Where's he from? He's a Montreal boy.
Quebecois.
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 Quebecois. Either Ottawa or York.
Okay.
I'm not going to Ottawa. I'll say that much. If
Why not?
He just made it to the final.
we just dusted y'all. There's no way I'm going to Ottawa.
Oh,
It's
you're saying
close,
Forge.
though. Yeah, though.
But closer to family.
Yeah, no, fair. Good shout. I mean, it worked out for Campbell and Hodgeport to go to Forge, right? And they end up winning the championship the year after. It was a weird move, but like I look like the idiot now a year later because they got 2 championships with 2 different teams in 2 years.
Yeah. No, you are looking like an idiot.
Yeah, so, thanks, bro.
What are you talking about? He's here talking with us. That's not idiot moves. Come on.
Nice guy. Last question. Do you think Bobby's going to be back next year?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's
You
not even
don't think he's getting looks anywhere?
I don't think
No.
so.
Do you think Bobby's getting groomed at all to be the future men's national team coach?
No.
I think that he could be
I think he'll
part
be
of
on
the
the
staff.
bench. I think he'll be on the bench, but I don't
Yeah,
think he'll
yeah.
be the head coach.
No, but part of the staff that's a great.
Why
look,
not
though.
ever? He has European experience. I mean, the core group, he's like bred a lot of them. If you think about the Sigma Ontario guys,
Yeah, for sure.
he speaks multiple languages. He's connected in the European market. He has Greek heritage. I just wonder.
Again, I think he deserves a spot on the coaching staff. I
It's
just
hard
don't
to
think
say,
he's
like,
the head
yeah,
coach.
is he
But
the
I
guy?
wonder if he
But-
wants that role, if he's going after. Anyways,
Yo,
I wonder how
you
many
need to start
years.
asking these guys these questions. Next time you see Bobby, you should ask him.
Good game, Bobby. Thanks for beating me 3-0 today. Are you going to be around next year?
Are you going to be on the national team staff eventually? I can just imagine. I would love to have you mic'd up for that moment after a game to ask him that question.
Not after they get
What?
3-0.
Oh, boy. Well, We got to take one last break. When we come back, we'll wrap this one up once again. For Niko Giantsopoulos, I'm Nick McVicar. You're listening to Footy First here on TSN 1050. Welcome back to Footy First here on TSN 1050. Nick McVicar, Niko Giantsopoulos, and York United's Jordan Wilson. Jordan, we want to wrap this up quickly because obviously you and Niko are kind of in the same boat, both technically out of contract right now.
Yeah, I guess
He has his own thing. We're not worried. He'll figure his own thing out. What's kind of your off season been like so far?
I mean, just hanging out with my lady and my newborn son. Just been chilling.
How's being a dad? Has that changed perspective on football?
100%.
How so?
I feel like I hope he plays footy, but I'm just like, I just look at life differently. Like, wins and losses will always matter, but like, you go home. It's true what people say. Like, you go home, all that matters is like, you know, like your kid's good, your family life's good. I mean, it's definitely changed it. I feel like there's something I love more now than footy.
Any early signs of him being a soccer player? Have you seen him, like, kick?
You know, he has a base like his father. He has some nice thick legs. I mean, he's also 3.5 months, so like there's not much to say. But as soon as he starts walking, I'm definitely tackling him like 100%, studs up, just like letting him learn.
Into the knee.
Yeah, you have to.
That's the way it goes.
Come on.
What are you saying to him? He's like,
Yo, hold that, fam. Early.
legit early.
How is having a kid kind of changed your idea when you're coming through contract negotiations? Has it changed it at all?
Question.
That's a great question. Yeah, it changes it. I'm reminded my lady, she has a great job. She's always like, yo, play as long as you want. Like, she doesn't put pressure on me. But I feel like, man, like, I just look at the barrel of my life, like, how many years I have left playing or what I'm trying to do. So I feel like, yeah, like, weighs on my mind a little bit. But I'm just enjoying it. Even when he was born, I feel like I was playing my best football. I feel like I was just like...
Scored goals.
Yeah, I was free, man. I was free. I was like, I feel like when she was pregnant, I was just a bit on edge. But I feel like after he was born, I was like...
Just in case you had to leave?
Yeah, I was just like, yo, let's live this up. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Unlock dad strength. I remember that was.
I guess so.
Tweet
Yeah, that's what they were
saw.
saying. But I felt like I was strong before. But
All right, Troy. Well, I hope I see you next year in the showers, in the York United showers.
you know I'll be there, buddy.
Yeah.
In your dreams.
Even if
your
he's not
naturality.
signed,
You know
he'll be showing up. to
Jordan,
hang
what
out.
are you doing here? Don't you have a hit on the?
He'll have a
soccer?
media pass or something and just walk into the change room.
Yeah, Jordan will be like previewing the halftime show at our game, and then after the game, he's in the shower. I was like,
100%.
What's going on here?
2 places at once.
How'd I do?
You'll never get rid of me. Nico. You know this. You'll never get rid of me.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and you're
Thanks for
more than
having me,
welcome to
guys.
come anytime. Next week, big interview coming. I'm going to leave it at that. Big interview coming next week.
What's happening next week?
Oh, you got to pay attention. Got to tune in next week.
Oh.
And World Cup is coming up, so make sure you tune in for all
Come
the
on, Canada!
information. All the information will be coming down the social media pipeline from myself and Niko. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and check out the YouTube videos. All the episodes are up there as well. Well, all the episodes that we have been doing the videos for are up there, I should say.
At Footy First Show.
There you go. He's got it. He's a pro at this now, Jordan.
If we get if we have 1,000 subscribers by the time Canada's out of the World Cup, I'll get at Footy First Show tattooed somewhere on my body.
Okay, please help me out, folks. Please help me out.
I'll do it.
We'll do our best to get there.
Face,
But
not on my face, but
Yes.
somewhere on my body.
for
1,000
now,
subscribers.
we appreciate you listening. We'll see you next week.